Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Awesome? Meh? So 100,000 people a day watch my wine show, Wine Library TV, and it's 38 minutes on average of me sitting at a table and drinking 3 wines, which is about as uninteresting of a concept as I can think of, especially since I spend at least 15 minutes talking about the New York Jets. And I always wonder why. Why would so many people listen? Of course the content is good. I know a shitload about wine. And clearly I'm shockingly handsome, so I understand that works for me. But at the end of the day, I think where we're going is something I call the thank you economy. You see Crush It up there. That was a book I wrote that did extremely well. And I spent $0 on traditional marketing to make it one of the bigger selling books of last year. And I did it by using the thank you economy, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Usually I have an hour, so 8 minutes or 9 minutes is tough, so I'm going to spit it out rapid fire. I believe firmly, and especially in the luxury category where a lot of you guys live, that we are living through the humanization of business. The reason that so many people watch my show, buy my books, why I am one of the top 300 followed people on Twitter and by far the least famous or brand recognized, is because I out-cared everybody. See, everybody in this room and everybody in this world right now is thinking about what they're gonna say. What's the content calendar? What's our personality? What is our voice? And the problem is that we're massively stuck in talking too much. What we have an amazing ability to do today and never did before is actually listen. In 2007, I spent 13 hours a day while I was running a $60 million a year wine business. So this became my real job, not what was distracting me. 13 hours a day using a site called Surmise.com. Surmise was bought by Twitter a couple years ago and is now the back end of what search.twitter.com is. It is firmly my belief that one of the most powerful, important sites on the internet today is search.twitter. See, the reason so many people, how many people here think Twitter is stupid? Raise your hand, be honest. Not bad. How many people just don't get it, what the fascination with Twitter is? The fact of the matter is, the reason so many people don't, and why hands go up like that, is because everybody wants to know what to say. What am I supposed to say? Twitter's so stupid. Who cares if I'm eating a pizza or walking my dog? Nobody. But where Twitter gets powerful and where the opportunity in this new world where we have so much data is we can listen. I spent 13 hours a day searching Chardonnay, Merlot, Pinot Grigio, Bordeaux, Chinon, Pinot Gris, and actually cared enough to answer and not say, hey, go to winelibrary.com and buy it, or hey, watch this video I just did on Syrah. I just said, here's your answer. This is what you need. And it started building context of an actual relationship. See, what's really interesting to me is I firmly believe going forward that our grandparents are more suited to be successful and social than we are, because we're going back to small town rules. Marketing is about to get really fucking hard. It's about to get really one-on-one. And I think that's a very important thing that people need to understand. It's no longer super easy to just stack it high and let it fly. You can't just pound down the message. When you hear things like Eric Schmidt from Google say, more content is created now in 48 hours than was from the beginning of time until 2003, it starts putting things in perspective. Beginning of time to 2003, every 48 hours, same amount. There is an obscene amount of stuff being thrown at us. And the things that are gonna filter through are not always going to be the things that are most creative. I sit in green rooms like this and in conferences. I started a consulting company. We have clients like Campbell's and PepsiCo, the National Hockey League, and everybody's trying to figure out how to make it happen. How are we gonna do it, right? We all think we're so damn smart. We're gonna market it and figure it out. The reality is the consumer's bullshit radar is so much better than anybody in this room or in this game realizes. And now that we can actually hear from them and see it, we're starting to understand that. To me, what I'm passionate and fascinated about is how in the world would you allow this scenario to happen? You're sitting at a coffee shop and the person sitting right next to you, let's say New York style, they're damn close, and they're talking about your brand. Are you gonna say thank you or interject? Maybe, especially if they're saying, let's say something positive instead of something negative. You may actually say, oh, cool, thanks so much for liking Vitamin Water. I work for Vitamin Water, blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is that's happening online thousands, if not millions of times a day around brands, and we stay silent. I'm shocked that brands in 2011 are going to put themselves in a position where they're not gonna thank people for saying the nice things they say publicly to their entire social graph. I'm blown away that we don't recognize that what we need to do now is take advantage of this insane phenomenon, which is this. 6 years ago, if I'm sitting and watching a Jets game with my buddy and I drink a Bud Light and say, you know what, this Bud Light Lime really sucks, I'm never ordering this again. 2 minutes later, my doorbell rings. I come and open, hey, I'm John from Bud Light, we're really sorry you don't like the lime flavored flavor, but please try our Bud Light Extreme. 2 things would happen. 1, I would punch him in his face. 2, I would move. We would never understand why we could have a relationship with a brand. That would be spooky, creepy, and it still is for many. But if you're not paying attention to the fact that we have now conditioned ourselves as humans to actually have relationships with logos, you're missing out on something that is really emerging and is extremely powerful. And now it's gonna come down to, do businesses have the ability to be human? Do we strategize for sales, or do we actually give a fuck? And the reality is, I firmly believe that most people just wanna sell shit. And I'm really curious what happens when people understand that the battleground will be caring, because in a world where word of mouth is going to dominate, it's gonna get real interesting. In a world where 10 years ago, the biggest yenta on the Upper East Side has a negative or positive experience, she can only do so much damage in telling her social graph. Now, the most awkward, weird introvert that lives in Iowa, that lives in his mom's basement, can tell more people. And that starts impacting our business. And what I'm really curious about is, do people recognize how much of an eyeball shift and engagement shift has happened? What I'm curious about is, in 2011, are you just gonna buy a TV ad and run billboards and not extend the story into social? The ability to play ping pong with traditional and social is here. To not extend the story and collect the data is just a massive miss. And I think it's really funny. I think people are obsessed that old media is dead, or a lot of people in my space for sure trounce on magazines or commercials or radio. To me, super viable still, and more importantly, the creative within them is dead. We're not creating scenarios to allow us to extend the story, to collect the data. When Reebok Hockey runs a commercial during the Winter Classic, and then they say, if you want to see the rest of this video, go to our Facebook page, and they pick up 70,000 fans in 30 seconds, they now have the data of those 70,000 people forever. And gonna leave you with one last thought, because I had to go helter-skelter here. Please promise me one thing, if nothing else. Please have a very, very substantial strategy for mobile in 2011. Anybody who doesn't recognize the power of mobile is really going to be hurt. The consumption numbers are scary. I'm sure you all saw what happened with Facebook, Places and Deals. That has just enormous implications. We are living through the biggest, not one of the biggest, we are living through the biggest culture shift in the way we interact with each other and consume media. And my opinion, because the internet is only 15 years old, it's only been 15 years since AOL spammed your actual mailbox and sent you a CD. This is a few seconds. I mean, the internet hasn't had sex yet, and it's dominating. My belief is because the internet is so young and we think so fast that we are grossly underestimating how early this is and how large the impact is. And until your businesses become humans and have relationships, create true context with users, and extend those for the marathon instead of the quarterly report sprint, it's gonna be difficult to succeed going forward. I love everybody, bye-bye. Oh, by the way, I know we have lunch, and make sure you pay attention to Greg Shove. The Pinot Noir I selected is gonna blow your fucking face off.
Yeah.